Has the recent market volatility put your retirement plan to the test? See if your retirement is still on track by scheduling a retirement checkup with Lauren Merkel. During this 15-minute phone call, we'll discuss if your retirement plan could be disrupted by long-term market volatility. We'll also analyze your current tax plan and provide strategies on how to take advantage of the market. Go to merkelplan.com and click Book Now to schedule your retirement checkup today.
The morning news on YourIowa.com is brought to you by the Commission on U.S. Territories, striving for equal representation around the globe, and by Keep Iowa First, committed to keeping the Iowa caucuses the first in the nation contest in selecting the presidency of the United States. And now, here's your host, Brent Roske.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Give yourselves a pat on the back. You made it through another week. Up on the screen there is someone smashing a house. This is a brilliant new short film that was done here in Iowa called Inherited. We're going to have the filmmaker on. What a great, if you like Terrence Malick films like I do that are just breathing and full of the fabric of life, you're going to love Inheritance, filmed here in Iowa, an Iowa cast and crew. And just some amazing stuff. The next shot here, I mean, they had planes, they busted down a house. It was incredible. So filmmaker's going to be on in just a little bit. Yesterday, did you see my interview with Tom Harkin? I'm a big fan of Tom Harkin. I'm grateful to call him a friend. And from the beaches of the Bahamas, he was walking around in shorts and sandals, and he was kind enough to jump on the phone and chat with us yesterday for our 50th episode. Can you believe 50 of these programs? So grateful to you for tuning in and to folks like Mr. Harkin. So President Biden, when he was elected, he said we were going to do 100 vaccinations in his first 100 days. Well, what do you know? On day 59 of his administration, he will pass this goal of 100 million vaccine shots. The goal was announced December 8th, and we are now averaging, listen to this, the U.S. is averaging 2.2 million doses a day. Fascinating. So why do I do the show on YouTube? News out today from Axios says it. Last year was the worst in history for cord cutting. The worst in history. Now listen to these numbers. Pay TV lost how many million subscribers? So we've got 330 million people here in the United States. How many cord cutters ended their pay TV last year? Take a guess. 6 million households last year said, forget it, we're not paying anymore. That's about 7.3 a percentage of how many people were paying for it. And now here's how that affects the next step of this. So football, NFL, $9 billion a year business. For the first time, this came out this morning. For the first time, the NFL has licensed all Thursday night football games exclusively to a tech company, which is Amazon. I was at NBC for 10 years, and let me tell you something. Those are big numbers. Listen to the numbers that. So how much does NBC Universal pay for Sunday night football? Per year, NBC's paying $2 billion. Fox pays $2.2 billion for the NFC. And Disney, for ESPN and ABC for Monday Night Football, $2.7 billion. So big news there in the streaming world that Thursday Night Football, you're not going to have to flip on Amazon, and you can watch it right after you finish catching up on episodes of your Iowa morning. This morning, folks, we got a great program. We've got Sid Juwarker, who owns TeeHees Comedy Club. I'm a huge fan of not only entrepreneurs, but the stand-up comedy world. So very grateful to Sid be on the show. Again, we've got filmmaker Brandon Oest. He's going to be on. I'm going to show this. Look at this footage. You're going to love this. And then we've got Ryan Hanser, one of the folks with his Health Media Group is going to be on right after a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
School of Rock is now in session in Iowa, and we're ready to help make musicians. In our patented performance-based program, students learn music in one-on-one lessons, then have band practice in a fun, safe learning environment, all leading up to their big show. Guitar, bass, piano, drums, and vocals, our local professionals teach the skills you need to be a rock star. Come check us out and get a free lesson with no strings attached. Locations in West Des Moines and Marion. Visit schoolofrock.com to learn more and start your musical journey today.
Welcome back to the show, and there he is live from Des Moines, the former president of the Des Moines Chamber and the owner of TeeHees Comedy Club, Sid Juwarker. Thanks so much for being on the show, Sid.
Good morning, Brent. Thanks for having me.
You know, it's truly my pleasure, and what you do for a living is my dream. You know, the stand-up comedy world is challenging. It's late nights. It's a lot of rough talk, but I love the stand-up comedy world, and you are in it. Why don't you talk about what was the moment when you said, you know what, forget it, I'm opening up my own comedy club. I'm fascinated.
Well, I was doing improv a lot and theater and things like that, but I also got into stand-up comedy, and it sort of became a catalyst to comedy became my therapy. I was working in my corporate job, which I still do during the day. And then at nights, it's almost like I put on a Batman suit, and then went out to fight crime, but the crime was like my own feelings. Just started doing open mics and having a good time building the comedy network. And I realized there were so many people doing comedy in Des Moines. Just the grind is just existing, but there were so few stages for them to perform on, because you were doing either putting on your own shows in bars or coffee shops that, could or could not do comedy depending on the day. And then, of course, there was the Des Moines Funny Bone, which was the aspirational place. But, to get on there, you had to be a host or maybe a feature. And just thought that jump was too large. You have to sort of get stage time to be ready to do a club like the Funny Bone. I was fortunate enough to make it onto a Funny Bone stage, and that's what kind of kickstarted my comedy club career. And then I realized that, that opportunity needs to present itself to actual Des Moines comedians. Otherwise, they end up moving when they get to a certain level where they're good at it, need to make a run at it, and going to comedy hubs close by like Chicago and Denver. And what better way to keep them here and foster the Des Moines comedy scene than to build your own stage, for lack of a better way. So
I mean, it's incredible what you've done. And folks, I mean, the business of comedy, it's tough. It's hardcore. Showtime had a series of comedy specials that I second unit directed for Kevin Nealon, all that. So I've had front row seat to the stand-up comedy world in Los Angeles, and it's the business of laughter, but behind the scenes there's some tough moments there. But I've got to say thank you from the Des Moines community for bringing more laughter into this community. I think it's such a valuable thing you're doing. But you just mentioned it, you're doing your corporate job during the day. Mm-hmm. You're doing comedy club at night. You're waking up at 7 a.m. to be on my program. Thank you for that. I mean, how are you? Like, this is not burning the candle at both ends. This is microwaving the candle. How are you doing this?
It's a passion. I mean, it's if I didn't actually believe in it and it was just a business I wanted to open for making money or whatever else. I mean, first off, I opened up a comedy club on January 2020, and I was open for exactly 28 days before the world ended, and we're still here. So I got that going for me. And then outside of that, it's the passion and the people. When you start to see the scene come alive, have opportunities, it fosters such a good, beautiful feeling that these people who've never done comedy before, some people who've taken the class, their parents come up after the show and talk about how they used to have crippling anxiety and now love seeing them on stage. You've seen some people who are putting on and producing their own shows. You've seen improv and stand-up, which in cities like Chicago do not get along, actually share shows on the same stage and like a improv start and stand-up headliner. And that's where we're going next weekend. It's crazy. And that's only possible in Des Moines. And when you watch it, then you realize that you can't not do it now, not just because of the bank, but also because it's like, it's created and this fire is going to go whether you're part of it or not. So you might as well be part of it. That's pretty much it.
Boy, what an inspiring phrase. You just said it's only possible in Des Moines. And I've told people that many times, that I said Iowa can make your dreams come true, because there are so many different folks here that are interested in a new thing. Go to Los Angeles, set up something entertainment based or all that, you're one of a million. But here, something creative, something that just embraces being here in Des Moines, people will support, people will show up. And so Congratulations, that's huge. But you open this thing, like you said, in the middle. I mean, could there be a more trying time to do this? So please, viewers, go to the comedy club. You'll see me there. You'll see me, buying an extra round for you if you show up. Just say, hey, I saw on your show to come, and I'll buy you a drink. But it's I applaud what you're doing. And so what is kind of the long term? I mean, running a comedy club, it's every night. Michael Caine's got a great line: opening a restaurant is like putting a Broadway play on every night. Well, you're actually putting a show on, and the challenges that have got to be significant.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we opened up a comedy club to foster and support local comedy. So even if we get national headliners in, the features, the hosts are always going to be local Des Moines people, Central Iowa people. We have monthly shows where Chicago comedians come in, Kansas City comedians come in, Omaha comedians come in like tonight. And those shows are already set for the months, like this is their day. And so it's important because two things happen in those areas. One is places like Chicago, Omaha, Kansas City that have their monthly shows at our club, they start to see Des Moines as a comedy place. And that's important for cities with much bigger population than ours. But when they come to the show and they have a good time, our Des Moines comedians now get to meet these comedians, network with them, become friends with them, and get booked in Chicago, Kansas City, and Omaha, because now they got to know them, they've performed with them, they've seen their chops on stage. It's not a cold call to be like, hey, can I perform in your club? I'm from Des Moines. They usually get, they get looked over. But now with the experience, seeing them on stage, opening up for their shows, meeting them after the shows, that's what's going to make Des Moines comedy thrive outside of Des Moines. And it's kind of fun to see people in Des Moines get shows outside of Des Moines. So.
And you know what you're talking about there. I see it in the music world every once in a while. We'll get a Taylor Swift and all that sort of thing where it's not flyover anymore, it's destination, and everything you're doing adds to that. So absolutely contributing to Des Moines. So thank you again for that. You mentioned confidence in kiddos. Boy, stand-up comedy is a great way. And you mentioned you have classes, so definitely check that out if you're a parent. But the ad before we ran this, School of Rock, when they were on the program, when we interviewed them, and now they're one of our sponsors, they talk a lot about that performance being a gateway to confidence, and that it just helps so many different parts of their kiddos' lives and getting that confidence. Some folks find it in team sports, but other folks find it in performance. So what is that like when you're training folks to, I mean, that's some people say, what is your worst fear? Forget spiders, forget snakes. Standing on stage in front of people entertaining could be their worst fear. Talk about that.
Absolutely. And a lot of people in the classes aren't coming and take comedy classes because they want to have a Netflix special and do comedy. A lot of these people have day jobs. They don't intend to quit. I own a comedy club and I still can't quit my day job. So it's more for like, some people are public speakers. Some people, there was an attorney who said, hey, I just want to be better in courtroom. I was like, that's pretty much how I want to just like learn to listen, learn to talk. Improv is a good comedy thing that teaches how to listen and interact with people on stage. Stand-up comedy is a different animal, but that teaches you more like word construction and to compress. I mean, you can't have an hour to tell a joke. You got to compress it in like 10 seconds. And it teaches people how to write that way. A lot of people do it for just like, hey, it's a bucket list item. I've always wanted to, I'm freaked out when I have to talk to people. Or some people actually just, their friends still think they're funny till they go to their first open mic and they realize out of context of their friends, a crowd in a bar doesn't think they're hilarious at all. And they're like, well, I've got to prove that wrong. So I'm going to come to comedy class. It's a mix of stuff. And it's fun to see because open mics every Thursday at TeeHees is open. It's free to the public. And that's where you have such a mix of people, from seasoned comedians, first timers, grandmas, just coming in, getting their 5 minutes. We have people driving from Omaha to just get 5 minutes on a stage. It's fun. And
open mic nights. We did a lot of casting from open mic nights in Los Angeles, and one of the guys, Nick Thune, saw him on an open mic, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, he taped his special for Comedy Central. And anyway, how do people learn more about TeeHees?
TeeHeesComedy.com is our website. It's our Facebook is kind of where we put a lot of the shows, our events, and details. They're also on a ticketing page on our website. Our website also has a link to the classes. It also has our upcoming shows. And we're going to start to develop a little more. Like I said, we opened up in January during a pandemic. So some of the details have been sort of overlooked while we're in survival mode. But we don't have a sign on the building. That's the best part, because that the budget for the sign got taken up in a lease when we shut down. Signs are expensive, man.
Yes.
So we don't have curtains on the windows, so when you drive by, you don't miss us, but we'll get there eventually. Yeah. Kind of like this whole, people think it's a deliberate underground feel. Now we're just broke.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God, I love it even more. Sid, thank you so much for being on the program. God bless you and your work. I think what you're doing is fantastic. Again, you're living my dream life. So anyway,
Until you actually have to do it, Brent. It's not going to be a dream very much, but it's so much fun. I love it.
I'm going to see you at the club soon. Folks, check it out. Support local. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with an amazing Iowa filmmaker. We'll be right back.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
Folks, welcome back to the show. There is Brandon. Now, Brandon has made an amazing film. Let's see if it'll pop up here. Look at this footage, folks. This is from a new film made here in Iowa called Inheritance. You had planes. Look at that. You busted up a house. Not only am I a filmmaker, I'm a member of the Producers Guild, and this gets the Gold Star Award for using your resources. Why don't you tell people about Inheritance and what we're watching? And the footage is beautiful. It's a great film. Why don't you tell folks about it?
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks for having me, Brent. I actually decided to make this film. I transitioned to being a full-time filmmaker here last year. And really, I actually quit my full-time job about a week before the pandemic hit. So it was really good timing to become a full-time filmmaker. But yeah, so I wanted to kind of tell a story about that feeling that a lot of people get, after college and, I'm assuming at other points in their life too, where they're not really sure where to go next and kind of how to, proceed, or they have so many life choices. So, this was a totally Iowa production. The way that we found this house was really funny. I was looking for kind of like old broken down houses in the area, and just kind of found one for under 20,000. And I messaged a guy and I was like, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker. Is there any way we could shoot something in there?" The guy's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he's like, "Actually, it's about to be torn down, so you better, hurry up." And I was like, "Okay, well, if it's going to be torn down, do you mind if we smash up some of the walls?" He's like, "Oh, I don't care." And mind you, yeah, I know. And mind you, this is from the first time talking to someone. And it's that's something that you only get in Iowa, so it was it worked out great. And yeah, this was all shot in one afternoon.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in a second, but I don't want to gloss over what you just said. This is only possible in Iowa. The interview we just had, Sid, he goes, "This comedy club is only possible in Iowa." I tell people Iowa can make your dreams come true. Cost of living is lower here, and folks, you can barely call up and say, "I'm going to destroy your house," and then film you tearing it down. I mean, look, so I love old houses. I actually bought a house that was built in 1870, fixed it up. I had senators and governors there. When I saw this thing, a lot of times in movies, when the car falls off the bridge and explodes, it's usually a piece of crap car, and it's just the shell. But this is a real house with woodwork and the whole thing. This is what you call a classic American what do they call it? But that style of house is very popular here in the Midwest. You bashed up a house, you filmed it, and the thing is, folks, when you watch this, and I called it Inheritance. It's Inherited. I apologize. But when you watch it, you are a part of this, and her journey, your character's journey. I mean, to me, it's like, does the thing come first or the script? And what you did is you figured out a way to bring all this together, the airplane, the house, and it's a beautiful story. The way it's told through, again, Terrence Malick I'm a big fan of his work. And it's a visceral feeling. It's an environmental piece. It envelops you in it. And you've accomplished all that, Brandon. I mean, what's the reception been like for the film, other than people like me who are just going crazy about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see. I've been getting emails from people who have kind of been telling me about their, a little bit of their experience with this feeling. That's what kind of the most impactful, important thing of filmmaking is to me, is being able to influence people's like thoughts and feelings, and you all of a sudden get kind of like an outpouring of maybe something that you didn't even intend when you were making the film. And so, I got a lot of people saying like, oh my gosh, this film like makes me want to be, one email said, this film makes me want to be young again, where, airplanes drop stuff out of the sky and dirt roads and everything. It's just like a great feeling. And so, it's been really, really great feedback. Obviously with a piece like this, it's, kind of a little bit more of a, metaphorical film. And so you're never really sure how that's going to come off. But I've gotten really positive reception so far. So I'm really happy about that.
It's fantastic. Let's give a shout out. Who's your actor here?
Her name is Lauren Gillard. She is up in Cedar Rapids. So she was fantastic to work with. It was great. I mean, obviously shooting during a pandemic is a little tricky sometimes. So it was just like me, my director of photography, Ben Handler, who's like, I mean, you can see the shots. He's incredible to work with. And Lauren, and it was really, really nice to be able to, find someone who was just really anxious and eager to create something as I was. So, yeah, I mean, we worked as a team, got it done, like I said, in one afternoon, and made, got it done. So,
I got to tell you, from a producer standpoint, you just hit it out of the park here. And what people don't realize is that what you're watching here could easily have been a $250,000 project. Easily could have been more than that. But like, if you're going to budget this out, okay, we got to smash up a house. We need an airplane. We need so that's a parachute down from the airplane.
Yeah.
And like the lighting here, your DP just nailed it. Oh, the beautiful, then the shots and I love the super widescreen you've got here. But from a producer standpoint, what you've been able to do is fantastic, and all of that. If you watch a movie like Lost in Translation, you've got Scarlett Johansson, all the scenes with her down in the subways and everything. It was Sofia Coppola, the actor, and the director of photography. And people don't realize a lot of the major films you see, the guts when you're actually creating those moments, it's a very small amount of people. There might be 100 people watching them, but the actual artist's core.
Yeah.
And this what you did, how do you make the whole thing with just the core?
Yeah.
It's fascinating. So well done, Brandon. It's a hell of a great film.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it was like a great time making it. It was a dream come true to be able to, make something like this. And like I said, between like the house, the pilot was a whole nother story too, where you're asking someone to fly pretty low. It was just like it all came together really well. Because
you had a real plane. This is not the CG. I mean, I did a movie for Sci-Fi Channel in Puerto Rico, and we had helicopters and planes, but it was all CG. So we had to film it as a plate and have the thing come in, and we had a 5-headed shark. It's a long story, but we filmed in Puerto Rico, had a big major budget. You're like, forget it. I need a real house. I need a plane with a pilot. How'd you find your plane?
So we actually had it set up through like a flight school nearby, and then about 30 minutes before they're supposed to get the flyover. So we shot this in Hedrick, Iowa, just about an hour and a half south of Iowa City, where I'm based out of. And about 30 minutes before they're supposed to be there, and we're supposed to do all these like sunset shots with the plane, I got a call saying that the pilot's not going to be able to make it. And so I had to scramble and find a new pilot to run over to the airport, and not only run over the airport, but like fly very low, over this house, shot with a wide angle. But, in real life, I mean, the plane's going, probably 100 feet off the ground. It was very low. I mean, it was incredible to see in person. But, again, it's like one of those things of where I feel like if I was in like a larger market or whatever, there'd be a lot more red tape to go through. But here was really nice. I just found someone. I was like, yeah, this is where I need you to go. And just like, okay, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, you're right, by the way. I've directed aerial shoots, helicopters in New York City and Los Angeles, the 500-foot, the 1,500-foot ceiling. I mean, I was in the helicopter with Frank Tamburo. We came up over the top of the building, 15 feet. They got the calls, the cops. Yes, you're right. Again, only possible in Iowa. So,
yeah, exactly.
What's next for the film? You're going to be showing it around?
Yeah, so it'll be available online for a little bit longer. I've already submitted to 7 or 8 festivals so far, and some of the larger ones. And then, yeah, I'll be taking it down within a couple weeks, I believe. So for it to make its festival run, and then after that, it should be available on Amazon Prime.
Well, I think regardless, you should be holding the hosted screenings of this. If Sundance doesn't put it in the lineup,
Yeah.
a hosted screening, have an Iowa Film Showcase, because this by all measures could headline an Iowa Showcase filmmaker series, or just filmmaking in general. I don't want to diminish the quality of the project by saying it's an Iowa project. This is a world-class production. It's fantastic. So, and Brandon, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Ost.
Brandon Ost has made Inherited. It's fantastic. And well, I'll tweet out a link to it so you can see it, but a Google search will pull it right up. Brandon, thank you so much for being on the program, and congrats on your film.
Yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, you can always just go to inheritedfilm.com as well, and you'll be able to stream it from there. So thank you again for having me. It's great to talk to you.
It's truly my pleasure. Sharing this digital stage with an artist like yourself is truly my pleasure. So congratulations on being a full-time filmmaker. That's a huge step, and I wish you nothing but the best, and I'm sure it will. Boy, that shot right there. I love the lighting. Folks, we're going to be right back. We're going to talk healthcare right after this message from the United Nations. Folks, welcome back to the program. Great episode so far with Iowa artists, but we've got to talk about our our older friends and neighbors here in the state. And to do that, we're going to chat with Ashley Buckowing here with the Calvin Community Foundation, talking about embracing aging, which I think is a fascinating concept. Ashley, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Brent. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's truly my pleasure. So, people, I lived in California for 7 years and nobody talks about getting older. But what Iowa is a safe place to do things, like accept that we're all getting I don't dye these gray. I'm just getting older. and so what you folks are doing is interesting. You're saying, let's embrace it. The title of one of the programs is Embrace Aging, and really about helping people, welcome into this next chapter of their lives. I'm wondering if you could tell folks a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Embrace Aging responds to natural resistance to aging topics. So we offer free expert advice anytime on finance, law, caregiving, Alzheimer's, a bunch of different topics just to kind of help people along and just spread that information. I also work with Calvin Community over in Beaverdale, which is they're part of the same company community. So Calvin's Foundation hosts the Embrace Aging series with support from the American Enterprise Group. So we really do partner together, and we hope that a lot of our residents and incoming residents find Embrace Aging very helpful.
Folks in my age range, I'm 46. Folks in our age range, definitely, you have to think about elder care with parents, or some folks even have grandparents still alive. And you mentioned Alzheimer's. I actually co-directed an Al Roker special a few years back and got to learn much more about that than I was aware of, and the different challenges that come up in that world with, Alzheimer's, senior dementia, and that sort of thing. And helping folks work through those emotional struggles can be quite challenging. What drew you to this type of work?
Well, my own grandparents, to be quite honest with you. I lost my grandparents fairly young, not from anything memory related, but all four of my grandparents actually from cancer. So working with elderly people is kind of a way for me to give back, I would say, but also just kind of re-embrace that kind of relationship, and just helping out anybody in the best way that I can, providing information and guidance in any way that I can help them make the best decision for themselves.
And how do folks, so let's say you're someone like me and you need help. How do we go about accessing you and these services?
Yeah, so there's a couple different places you can check out some of this information. So you can check out videos and helpful flyers and information on calvincommunity.org, or you can check out embraceaging.info. But we also have a bunch of YouTube videos up online too that are also helpful.
Well, we're so grateful to have you on the program, and it's such an important issue, and anything we can do to take away the stigma of talking about these things, of addressing them. And it's not, we're all getting older. There's a filmmaker in a line, he said, we're all marching slowly toward our own demise. The marching of time does not stop for anyone. So we have to acknowledge it, and we have to be honest about it. So Ashley Buckowing, thank you so much for being on the program today. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break for our Emmy-winning meteorologist, Jason Parkin, to give the forecast, and I'll be back to wrap up the show.
Well, good morning. It is going to be a nicer day today. We've got a tiny chance of rain in the morning. Otherwise, we could see some sun by the end of the day. The forecast brought to you by Clear Mortgage today, and hopefully we'll see some clear skies again by the end of the day today. So let's take a look at the forecast. A tiny chance of some rain in the morning. Otherwise, by noon, we should be at about 45 degrees and about 51 degrees by 4 p.m. So some improvement there. And then more improvement ahead. Friday's high 53 degrees with some sunshine. Now, it is going to warm up Saturday and Sunday. It will, however, be breezy both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's high will be around 58 degrees, 63 for a temperature there on Sunday. And then on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, a chance for rain all 3 days, but fairly mild temperatures given the time of year. 60 on Monday, 59 Tuesday, and 51 rather for a high temperature on Wednesday.
There it is again, inherited that footage from Brandon Ost. What a great film. And big thanks to Sid Juwarker and Ashley Buckowing for being on the program. Go down to TeeHee's Comedy. Be safe, bring your mask, all that. Let's be safe, but support local business, have a few laughs. Did you miss yesterday's show? The 50th show? Do you believe 50 of these shows? Former Senator Tom Harkin from the beach in the Bahamas was on. What a thrill. I texted him, I say, it's a big show, 50 shows. Not everybody was sure I'd get to 50 shows. He said I'd be happy to be on. So just thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Also on the show yesterday, just my buddy, Golden Globe winner Sally Kirkland, nominated for an Oscar. And that sounds great. What does that mean? She was nominated alongside Meryl Streep, Glenn Close, Holly Hunter, and Cher, and won the Golden Globe against those folks, and then was nominated for Best Actress, and that was the year Cher won for Moonstruck. But anyway, Sally Kirkland, there we are from Beverly Hills Hotel, had a big Oscar blowout. They used to do this thing, Night of 100 Stars, and Sally asked if I would take her a couple of years ago. And it's just always great to see Sally. And, what are we talking about? Today we had Brandon Ost on talking about filmmaking. And Sally Kirkland has been doing this for literally decades and created her own career, as everyone does. If you're an artist and you can pay a mortgage on it, then that means you are no stranger to the hustle. So huge thanks to Golden Globe winner Sally Kirkland, former Senator Tom Harkin, and then a bunch of people, Gary Kroger and Dr. Franz Whitfield and Admiral Mike Franken sent in videos, Doug Burns. So big episode yesterday, 50 episodes. Thanks everybody for being along for the ride. CJ Perry was on last week. There she is, co-starring with Bruce Willis in his brand new sci-fi epic action flick, Cosmic Sin. You're going to want to check that out. The episode, my interview with CJ Perry, is posted now. You might know CJ Perry because she plays the character of Lana on WWE, which I mean, they've got the little interviews, but then it's CJ getting thrown around and all that sort of thing. So that episode is posted now. And then this upcoming Friday, a week from today, there's my buddy Matt Del Negro, co-starring with Kevin Bacon in City on a Hill on Showtime. If you've seen my film, Chasing the Hill, there's Matt Del Negro, and there's Matt Del Negro, and there's he's on City on a Hill on Showtime. Huge thanks to Showtime, because not only is Matt going to be on their season 2 premiere weekend, they sent from the edit bay, they sent one of Matt's scenes with Aldous Hodge, one of the other leads on the program. They sent us an exclusive scene that we're going to be able to show to you for City on a Hill that is premiering that Sunday. So huge thanks to Showtime. And thank you to you folks. It is Friday. You made it through another week. Let's all take a deep breath. Think about what you've accomplished. Don't put the pressure on what you haven't accomplished. You know what they talk about Sunday mornings, and I saw a lot of this in Los Angeles. They would say Sunday mornings, people panic. They let the anxiety creep in because, well, I've got to get this done, and I didn't get it done this week and all that sort of thing. Folks, no one put these milestones, no one put these goalposts up other than mostly marketing and business interests. It's okay to simply have a nice walk with someone you care about. Reach out to someone who did politics get in the way last year? Did the election get in the way? Did something else get in the way? Reach out. We're all just looking to get through the day with a smile on our faces, and let's do our best to reach out to someone that you know could need some comforting. And if you need help yourself, it's absolutely okay to ask for help when you need it, because we all do. It's Friday. Take a victory lap. I did an interview yesterday, and the person said, and we're all taking a victory lap because we met X and X goals. And I said, people forget to do that. I tell people all the time, I'll tell you, I don't care how small or potentially you might think or other people think it's an insignificant win. If you can take a victory lap, a mental victory lap, do it. Take a deep breath, drink a cup of tea, go for a walk, and live in that moment of succeeding, whatever it is. I don't care if it meant you got up a half hour earlier just because you thought you should, if it meant doing those extra 5 push-ups, if it meant walking that extra 1/8 of a mile. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger has really kind of come into his own since his governorship, in my opinion. And he answered a question on the internet. It was someone who was overweight. And for them, look, I love you. This person was not happy with their weight. And they were saying, I don't know how to begin. I go to the gym, I get intimidated. I get worried about looking at people. You know, I go to the gym. I found my Iowa extra poundage. I go to the gym and I'm like, oh my goodness, it looks like everybody here is ready for their cover photo shoot. But this person said, I don't know how to start. I get intimidated. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's advice, which I'll share with you right now, is so simple. He goes, just do something. He goes, if it's 4 jumping jacks, if it's walking to the curb and back, just start something and do that for a few days and then add to it slowly and do it slowly. Because folks, what we're talking about is changing a mindset. Why did I start the show at 7 a.m. on January 1st? Because getting me out of bed at that time, doing a show I knew it would be a challenge for me, but it's also something with our little one and our life here. You know, Sid Juwarker today with TeeHees Comedy Club, he has a day job. I have a day job. So I had to figure out a way to fit this in, this passion project. And it takes time. Be easy on yourself. Take care of yourself. Find that warmth and compassion, and then share it with others. I am so looking forward to seeing you back here Monday morning. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm rooting for you.